Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, March the 10th. We're going to cover Tuesday's 9-game slate and go position by position like we always do. We'll hit on the players I like the most on Draftkings that stand out to me the most looking at this slate on Monday night. We'll cover some guys I like over on Yahoo as well. We'll talk about Yahoo's pricing. Just before we do get started, guys, as always, would appreciate it if you would drop a like down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. Click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. Also, if you haven't yet, you can follow me on Twitter, which is linked down below in the description at DFS by Noah. You can also check out my Patreon exclusive content, get access to all of my updated court plays, my article that I write Monday through Friday, the Discord chat you can join as well through Patreon. All that is linked down below in the description. You can check that out if you would like. Before we do get started with today's slate, I think we definitely need to recap and just talk about the absolute shit show that was Monday night's slate. I'm recording this video on Monday night about 10 o'clock Eastern time. If you've played NBA Monday night or if you followed everything, you knew what happened with the Bucks. Like 10 minutes before the game started, we got word that Chris Middleton, Dante DiVincenzo, I wasn't sure if he was going to start for Eric Bledsoe. We got an update in the afternoon that Eric Bledsoe and George Hill were both going to be out. So I thought there was a chance Dante DiVincenzo would start. I still think there was a possibility he'd come off the bench and play. But we did get an update about 10 minutes before the game started that the Bucks were going to start Pat Connaughton, Sterling Brown, Giannis's brother, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Robin Lopez, and I can't remember who the fifth starter was. I think it was, I can't even remember. I can pull up my phone real quick, but pretty much the Bucks just went with a weird-ass starting lineup. Middleton was not in the starting lineup. Brook Lopez was not in the starting lineup. Neither one of Ersan or Marvin Williams were in the starting lineup. And then DiVincenzo, I wasn't sure if he was going to start, but he wasn't in the starting lineup either. So they went with Sterling Brown, Wesley Matthews. So Wesley Matthews is a normal starter. He still started Monday night. Then they went Connaughton, Lopez, Antetokounmpo, and Sterling Brown. So what the hell are we supposed to do? Me personally, and the people in our Discord, I told everyone that I wasn't going to full fade Middleton. I wasn't going to full fade DiVincenzo. I thought there was still a chance they could maybe come off the bench and play. It could have been for a disciplinary reason. We just don't really know. They could have ran these guys 4 or 5 minutes and then subbed in Middleton, subbed in DiVincenzo, subbed in Brook Lopez. I just wasn't really sure what was going to happen in this situation. I personally, before the slate started, I lock button Chris Middleton. I lock button Dante DiVincenzo. I thought whenever Bledsoe and George Hill got ruled out, those guys were just locks. Just in my opinion, I did pivot some of my ownership off of them, but then the slate just got even weirder. I pivoted some of my Middleton ownership to Norman Powell, and Norman Powell got hurt 2 minutes into the game, did not return, so I still got a 0 from Norman Powell. DiVincenzo I actually kept in a large majority of my lineups. I thought there was still a chance he would come off the bench and play a big allotment of minutes. DiVincenzo's a young guy. He's only 23, 24. I did not expect them to rest him, but we're at halftime of that game, and none of DiVincenzo, Brook Lopez, Marvin Williams, Chris Middleton, none of those guys have touched the floor at halftime, so they're all going to get zeros for tonight. Monday night slate was just an absolute shit show. Congrats to you if you full faded those guys. Me personally, I just wasn't sure. I wanted to still have some exposure. I knew if a lot of people were going to pivot off of Middleton, I still wanted to have exposure to who I thought was the best play on the slate. I thought there was still a chance he could maybe play. We just didn't know what was going to happen. There's just so many question marks. But yeah, if you full faded, congrats to you. You should be posting some screenshots on Twitter showing your winnings, because if you full faded, you should be set up pretty nicely for the rest of the night. Me personally, like I said, I still had 60-70% Middleton. Originally, I had 100% Middleton, had 100% DiVincenzo. Lowered some of my exposure, but I still wanted exposure to those guys. Not really sure how the night's going to go for me. I might be able to get some of my money back, but yeah, Monday night slate was just absolute shit show. Let's take a look at Tuesday nights. Hopefully nothing crazy happens on Tuesday night. We can just get back to a normal slate. We do have 9 games for Tuesday. I know I rambled for a little bit, but let's break down these 9 games. We'll start off at point guard, where at the top, we got a lot of options over 10K here, a lot of questionables as well. Luka and LeBron James, Luka and LeBron are both questionable heading into Tuesday night. Those are obviously huge injuries to watch. We have James Harden, Russell Westbrook, also 2 studs worth paying up for over 10K. Assuming both Luka and LeBron play, we'll start off with these stud options. So you have James Harden and Russell Westbrook both in a great spot. Harden facing the Timberwolves, Westbrook obviously facing the Wolves as well. I think when you factor in salary, I'd probably rather go to Westbrook today. I really like his price at 10-1. He's been putting up similar numbers to James Harden as of late. I know Westbrook was really disappointing last game against Orlando, but so was James Harden. Both guys just were really bad in that game. The Rockets got blown out. They only lost by 20, but I'm pretty sure at one point in the game they were losing by like almost 40 points. They were down like 35 or 40 something, like halfway through the third quarter. This is a great spot, though, for them today. It's definitely a bounce-back spot facing the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are a team we definitely want to target. They've been one of the worst defensive teams in the league as of late. They're also playing at the second fastest pace in the league. If you just slim that down to like the last 10 games, the Timberwolves are actually leading the league in pace. And then if you look at defensive rating, they're actually dead last in defensive rating. So the Timberwolves have become one of the best matchups to target for fantasy. I like the spot a lot for Westbrook and Harden. This feels like a slate where we're going to have a lot of value, especially with all the questionables. Luka questionable, LeBron questionable. Anthony Davis is still probable, so he's expected to play. But Zach LaVine's still out. DeAndre Ayton still could miss. Steph Curry's also questionable. Jaylen Brown's still out. So there's a lot of questionable/out guys. That's going to give us some value. Choosing between the two Rockets guys, I think I'd rather go to Westbrook with the savings. But both guys are definitely in play today. And then looking at Luka and LeBron, I don't think I'm going to get to them even if they do play. Luka is 11-1. I'd probably rather get to Harden in a better spot. LeBron at 10-9 against Brooklyn. I like that matchup, but I think I'd rather save $800 and play Russell Westbrook in a fantastic spot. So really, if I'm paying up for these 10K and above guys, it's going to be the two Rockets guys. It's going to be Harden and Westbrook, and I think I do give the slight edge to Russell Westbrook. Then you have like Damian Lillard, Devin Booker. I like this spot a lot for both guys. Lillard's price has come down a lot to 9,100. Since coming back from injury, he hasn't been great. He's played 3 games, just 41, 36, and 29 DraftKings points. This is a really good spot, though, against Phoenix. He's had a couple days to rest up, to heal up for this game. Should be ready to play his full allotment of minutes. I mean, he did get 38 minutes last time they played the Suns on I believe that was Saturday they played them. On Saturday, and he had a really big game, or either Friday or Saturday, I can't remember, but he didn't have a big game, but he played big minutes against the Suns, 38 minutes, so he's going to play 36, 38 minutes if it's a close game. His production's been down a little bit. I think that just kind of has to do with him shaking off the rust. At 9,100, I definitely like this price on Lillard. I think we can take advantage of this and roster him at this salary. If I can find the $1,000, I'd probably rather get up to Westbrook, but Lillard's definitely in play. Devin Booker I like quite a bit as well. Just getting a ton of usage right now, a ton of opportunity with Kelly Oubre and DeAndre Ayton out. DeAndre Ayton is questionable. He has a chance to return today, but we do know that Kelly Oubre is still going to be out. 39 minutes the last 2 games from Booker, 50, 59 DraftKings points. The dude's just been producing at such a high level. Did shoot really well in that game against Milwaukee. He shot 76% from the field, 66% from 3. You don't expect him to shoot that well every game, but the opportunity is going to be there. He's going to get probably 20, 25 shots in this game. And against a Portland team that plays fast and doesn't play much defense, really good spot again for Devin Booker. So I do like him quite a bit at 8,800. He looks really appealing on Yahoo. He's only $37 over there. I think at shooting guard, he looks like one of the more appealing options at that position. DeAngelo Russell, I like quite a bit as well in the spot against Houston. It's a really favorable spot for a lot of these guards at the top and in the mid-range. Russell getting to face a Rockets team that's playing at the, I believe they're at this, this is the last 10 games. We'll look at the season. In terms of their last 10 games, they're playing at the 9th fastest pace in the league. But on the season, the Rockets are 4th in pace. I believe we do have a total. Yeah, we got a total for this game, and it's at 244.5, which is the highest on the slate. I don't expect any other games to be higher than 244. So this is going to be one of the more appealing games to target on the slate. It is a good spot for DeAngelo Russell. He's another guy that's kind of been bad as of late for fantasy. Like the game log isn't very pretty, but it's hard to ignore the upside he has in this kind of matchup, in this fast-paced game. Gonna play probably 34, 35 minutes if it's a close game. If I can, I'd probably rather get up to Booker if possible, but D-Russ is definitely in play, 8,500. Ricky Rubio is coming off a monster game on Sunday against Milwaukee. Had a triple-double, 72 DraftKings points. His price got bumped up a lot. He's up to 7,500. With the price coming up and other options in the mid-range, I think I'd probably look elsewhere off of Rubio today. It's a good spot, without a doubt, but the price is getting up there. You have, like, Russ you can get to for $1,000 more. You have guys for cheaper, like we're going to talk about Kawhi Leonard in a second, even Colin Sexton. Those guys I like quite a bit as well. So just looking down to these guys in the mid-range. Kawhi Leonard, Colin Sexton, 2 guys I have a good amount of interest in. Colin Sexton just getting massive minutes right now. No Dante Exum, no Kevin Porter, no Darius Garland. Like, he's just getting all the run he can handle. I know Garland's already been ruled out. I believe Kevin Porter's already been ruled out, and Dante Exum is going to be out for a while. So we should still expect Colin Sexton to play 36, 38 minutes if this is a close game. The Bulls have been good defensively against guards, but they don't have Chris Dunn right now, who is one of their better defenders. That's going to make their defense a little bit worse. Kobe White's going to be starting at point guard for the Bulls. I think that is a little bit of a better spot in that case for Colin Sexton. So at 7K, I do have some interest in him. I think I'd rather play Kobe White, though, for cheaper. White I like a lot at 6,800. We do already know that he is going to be starting on Tuesday. He was already getting like 35, 38, like 36 minutes off the bench. Like he was already playing massive minutes off the bench. I don't assume he's going to play more than 38 minutes. Like with him starting, you just feel better that he's locked in the big minutes. But regardless, I mean, 6,800 for Kobe White. If he's going to be playing 36 to 38 minutes, I have a ton of interest in today, especially against the Cavs. The Cavs have been one of the worst defensive teams against point guards. Now, they do have Matthew Dellavedova in the starting lineup, and Delly is a guy that he's just like a pesky defender, tries really hard, could definitely make life a little tough for Kobe White, but still Kobe White's just getting all the usage he can handle right now. No Zach LaVine. I believe Ryan Arcidiacono is still questionable, so if he were to sit, I mean, that's not really going to have an effect on Kobe White's usage, just opens up more minutes. But on the season with LaVine off the floor, Kobe White has a 27.7% usage rate, averaging over a fantasy point per minute, 21.4% assist percentage. You just look at the numbers as of late, been really good, playing huge minutes, 40-plus Draftkings points in 2 straight games, just giving you such a solid floor right now. I believe he's got 34-plus DK points in 9 of his last 10 games. Just been so good, and now he gets a fantastic spot against one of the worst defensive teams in the league, one of the worst defensive teams against point guards. I really like Kobe White today. Even with the price coming up, I think he stands out a lot in the mid-range. He's only $25 on Yahoo, so I like him a ton over there as well. They're finally putting him in the starting lineup, which just adds to his fantasy upside. I believe Satoransky is going to be going to the bench, so I don't really have any I don't have any interest in Satoransky now. White's the guy I like most from Chicago. Spencer Dinwiddie's price is also somewhat appealing. He's down to 6,800 as well. He's definitely sort of taken a back seat recently to Karis LeVert. We've seen Karis LeVert do a lot of heavy lifting for the Nets. Dinwiddie, though, is still going to play 32 to 34 minutes a night. It's a game against the Lakers that could definitely blow out. I do have a little bit of concern here, especially if LeBron winds up playing. Like right now, I think the Lakers are big favorites. Yeah, they're 11-point home favorites. If LeBron were to sit, I assume that line goes down to like maybe they'll be favored by like 8 or 9. But still, if it can stay close and we get 32, 34 minutes from Kobe White, I mean, it's 6,800. He is definitely an appealing option in this mid-range. Spencer Dinwiddie, definitely an appealing option in this mid-range at 6,800. I think I'd rather go to Kobe White. I think Kobe White gives you more upside in his matchup. Obviously, much better spot for him. But Dinwiddie is definitely in play in the mid-range. Alfred Payton as well, in a great spot today against the Wizards. His price has come down a little bit, 6,300. This is still a guy that has 40, 45-point upside, especially when he gets the right matchup. He's had some tough spots recently, facing OKC, facing the Jazz. Still been able to put up good numbers in those games, 40 against the Thunder, 41 against the Jazz. I think they faced the Wizards. Yeah, they faced the Wizards February 12th, and in that game, Alfred Payton did have 45 DraftKings points in 31 minutes. Normally, the Knicks are not a team I like to target just because they're just not an appealing basketball team, but today is a really good day to get some exposure to the Knicks with how good of a matchup it is against the Wizards. Guys like Alfred Payton, we're going to talk about Julius Randle. I really like him. Mitchell Robinson, I think, is a fine option to go to. But Payton at 6,800 or 6,300 definitely stands out. Him and Kobe White are my 2 favorite plays, like in that 6K range that you could look to today. But then getting down to the 5K range and looking for value. So Shaq Harrison is someone I like a lot as a value point guard. He does have small forward eligibility on DraftKings, which makes him a very appealing guy to target just with the roster flexibility. Just getting all the minutes right now, 29, 34, 36 minutes last 3 games. With no Zach LaVine, with Ryan Arcidiacono still questionable, he may sit again. Like, we should be in line to see Harrison play 34 to 36 minutes if it's a close game. He's been a fantasy point per minute player this season. He's put up 30-plus DraftKings points in 3 straight games. Now he gets a fantastic spot against Cleveland, a bad defensive team, a team that plays sloppy. You could definitely see Harrison get some steals here, get some defensive stats. That's what he's really good at. You see that game against Brooklyn, 4 steals, 1 block. Against Indy, 2 blocks, 3 steals. Against Minnesota, 1 block, 2 steals. Like, Harrison is one of the best steals guys in the league. At 5K on DraftKings, I really like him. I think because he has small forward eligibility, that makes him very appealing. And on Yahoo, he is actually listed as a small forward, so I really like him over there as well. Only $15 on Yahoo. Harrison's just giving you such a solid floor right now, giving you pretty much a 30-point floor. Has big upside as well. Like, this is a guy that can go out there and put up 40, 45 fantasy points. We saw him drop a 50-burger on the Pacers just a couple days ago. While I don't know if we can expect 50 fantasy points from Harrison today, if he's going to be playing 34, 36 minutes, averaging a fantasy point per minute, he still projects really well at only 5K, especially in a good matchup against Cleveland. So, two guys I like from the Bulls today, Coby White, Shaq Harrison. I think those guys really stand out. And then in terms of value at point guard, I think there is a pretty clear value play at this position. So we do already know that Dejounte Murray is going to be out for the Spurs. So I assume Derrick White starts at point guard today for the Spurs. He's been coming off the bench and still playing about mid-20s in minutes. I would have to assume now that Murray's out, you see White just get even more minutes. We still know that LaMarcus Aldridge is doubtful. He's unlikely to play. And we'll take a look at the usage this season with both Aldridge and Murray off the floor. I'm sure you're going to have really good rates for a guy like DeMar DeRozan, who is definitely interesting today. But we'll take a look with those two guys off the floor. We'll see what Derrick White's numbers look like. So Derrick White has played 681 minutes this season with both Aldridge and Murray off the floor, averaging close to a fantasy point per minute, has an 18% assist percentage, 18% usage rate. Not the highest usage player, but he's obviously been productive, giving you almost a fantasy point per minute with those two guys off the floor. DeRozan has a 32% usage rate, averaging 1.34 fantasy points per minute, so he does see a big bump with Aldridge and Murray out. But Derrick White's the guy I really like here. I think he plays probably 30, 32 minutes today. I think it's very likely he gives you 25 to 30 DraftKings points, if not more, especially given he's been a fantasy point per minute player in this situation. So at 4,600, he looks like one of the better values at point guard. He's really cheap on Yahoo as well. He's only $14 over there. Definitely like Derrick White as a value option we can target at this position. But I think that's probably it for point guard value plays for cheap options here. Dellavedova is coming off a monster game. Played 45 minutes in that overtime game against the Spurs. Had 35 DraftKings points. Obviously, don't expect him to play 40 minutes again. But with no Kevin Porter, I believe Kevin Porter might still be questionable. I don't think he's been ruled out yet. I know Darius Garland's been ruled out. But let me check on Kevin Porter. Yeah, so Kevin Porter's already been ruled out. And we know Darius Garland is out as well. And then Dante Exum, he's going to be out for a pretty long remainder of time. So I mean, the Cavs are going to continue to run a very tight rotation. I assume Delly probably plays like mid-30s in minutes. If I can, I would try and get up to Derrick White. I think Derrick White gives you more upside, although White might not play as many minutes as Dellavedova. White's a more productive fantasy player. So at 4K, Delly's not a bad value. I mean, I definitely would have him in my player pool depending on how many lineups I was playing. But, I mean, we've seen he can play 35 minutes and disappoint. I mean, he had 12 DraftKings points in 35 minutes against Boston. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see him play 34 minutes and score 20 fantasy points. It's just, at 4K, he's fine as a value. I just prefer other guys. I'd probably rather get to Derrick White if possible. But if I was playing a lot of lineups, I mean, Delly would definitely be in my player pool for sure. And then if you get a situation where LeBron winds up sitting, like if LeBron gets ruled out, then Rajon Rondo is going to become the best value play on the slate. He's only 3,300. I think we saw the situation when LeBron was out. I can't remember what game it was. I think it was this game against Golden State. Rondo started in a blowout, played 26 minutes, was on pace to play about 32 minutes, but the game blew out. Was very productive, 29 DraftKings points. I mean, with LeBron off the floor this season, Rondo's been a fantasy point per minute player. Going to play probably 30, 32 minutes if LeBron's out. At 3,300, he would be like the chalk value play, the best value play on the slate. Especially like if LeBron gets out, I mean, there's no way I play Dellavedova over someone like Rondo. I would just much rather go to Rondo. That's just news we're going to have to wait and see on, though. I mean, if I had to guess, I think there's a pretty good possibility that LeBron does not play here, especially facing Brooklyn, a team that's not really good, doesn't really have a chance against the Lakers. I know I think the Lakers play on Thursday. They play the Rockets Thursday night, so there's definitely a chance they could rest LeBron here, and then so that way he can play Thursday night in that big-time game against the Rockets. Hopefully we get an update, like after shoot-around, we'll get an update in the afternoon. If LeBron's out, Rajon Rondo, great value play. I'd probably lock him into almost all my lineups. But shooting guard now, we'll look at this position. You do have Bradley Beal here for 10-2 against the Knicks. I think Bradley Beal is a fine stud option today. Me personally, though, I'd probably rather play Westbrook for $100 less. I like that spot a lot more for Westbrook. I like that game environment, just the pace of that game. Westbrook does look like one of my favorite pay-up options today. So I'd get to him over Beal. Don't see myself getting to a ton of Beal today. Booker, though, I do like quite a bit at 8,800. In the 7K range, I mean, not much stands out here. Karis LeVert's fine, but it's not the best spot against the Lakers. I'd probably rather save salary, play a guy like Kobe White, save $500, play someone like Colin Sexton. But, I mean, LeVert's been really good as of late. You look at the game log, 41, 60 DraftKings points his last 2 games, put up a 66 burger against Boston. Like, he's got monster upside when he gets the minutes, and without Kyrie, he's getting all the minutes right now, playing 34 to 36 minutes in close games. Only played 31 minutes against the Spurs, but that was a blowout. 27 minutes against Memphis, that was a blowout. This game could blow out, but if LeBron were to sit, that would make me a little bit more confident it stays close and would make me a little bit more interested in LeVert. Still don't expect him to be a core play for me, though. Other shooting guards, just looking at that game, Minnesota and Houston, fast-paced game. We're going to want to get a lot of exposure there. Malik Beasley at 6,200, I think, stands out if you want to go to him in the mid-range. Terrence Ross as well, with no Evan Fournier, just gets 32, 34 minutes off the bench. Fast-paced game, or I shouldn't say fast-paced game, but pace-up spot for the Magic, getting to face the Grizzlies, who are playing at the 7th fastest pace in the league. Have a little bit of interest in Ross. Markelle Fultz as well, I think is fine to go to in the mid-range. Denzel Valentine going to continue to start. Me personally, I'd probably rather play Shaq Harrison just because I think Shaq Harrison gives you way more upside. Valentine's probably going to start and play like 24, 26 minutes. Harrison is going to start and play 34, 36 minutes and is the same price as Denzel Valentine. So I can't really get to Valentine today over someone like Harrison. In terms of value, though, at shooting guard, you have Derrick White you can play here, who we talked about earlier. If you want to go to Dellavedova, that's fine. But I think that's probably it for shooting guard. I guess Bryn Forbes also gets a little bit of a boost with Dejounte Murray off the floor. His minutes should be pretty secure. Played 32 minutes last game. I know that was a game that Murray still played in. Murray did play 31 minutes that game against Cleveland. You're definitely going to have to distribute those minutes somewhere. I think Bryn Forbes gets a few more minutes. I think Derrick White gets a few more minutes. I think we'll see Patty Mills get some more run as well, and Patty Mills is only 3,100. I mean, if we're going to get like 25, 26 minutes from Patty Mills at near minimum salary, he's definitely a guy you could also consider. So there's some value from the Spurs backcourt. My favorite guy to target there is Derrick White just because I think he gives you the most upside. He's the safest of the three, but Mills, Forbes, those guys are definitely in play as well now that Murray is out. But looking at small forward, you got Kawhi Leonard, 9,200 against the Warriors. Don't really think I get to Kawhi today. It's a good spot. The Warriors are not a good defensive team. There's definitely concerns, though, that this game could possibly blow out, especially if Steph Curry does not play. That would make me a little bit concerned about the blowout. I've said it earlier, and I've said it a lot this season. Like, I rarely play Kawhi when the Clippers are fully healthy. We saw Paul George finally do something last game against the Lakers. He finally busted out of his slump, played 37 minutes, and had 50 DraftKings points. So maybe Paul George is going to start soaking up more usage now that he's back to full strength, which is obviously going to take away from Kawhi. So if I'm going to play one of Kawhi or PG, I think I'd rather take the savings and play PG for $1,500 less. I don't know if we get 37 minutes again from Paul George. Like, that could have just been because they were facing the Lakers and it was a big-time game. This is obviously a spot where you're not really going to need to push Paul George. Facing a Warriors team that's just so bad, this game could be over by halftime, and Paul George only played 25 minutes. So I think that makes both guys a little bit risky. I don't think either guy are going to be core plays for me. If I had to choose one, though, it probably would be George, given the savings. But still, I'd rather save some salary, go to a guy like DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan just going to get so much usage today. LaMarcus Aldridge is doubtful. Dejounte Murray is out. You look at the numbers this season with both those guys off the floor. 32% usage rate for DeMar DeRozan, averaging 1.34 fantasy points per minute, 31% assist percentage, near 11% total rebound percentage. Just really good numbers from this guy. At 7,400, still feels a little bit too cheap on DK. Most nights you're going to get 40, 45 DK points from DeRozan, if not more. The minutes are going to be there if it's a close game. He's going to play 34 to 36 minutes most likely. I believe they did face Dallas. Yeah, they faced Dallas on the 26th. Aldridge was out that game, and DeRozan played 34 minutes, had 51 DraftKings points. Wouldn't be surprised to see another game similar to that from him today. So out of all those 7K small forwards, probably like even all these, like from Tatum or Kawhi, from Kawhi down to Ross, like I think DeMar DeRozan's my favorite guy to go to at 7,400 on DK. I think he really stands out the most. Robert Covington's fine as well. A little bit of a revenge game for him against the Timberwolves. I mean, this guy's just been really good since getting traded to the Rockets, getting big minutes. His rebounding numbers have been way up. A lot of that due to the Rockets playing small ball. You'll see Covington be able to grab more boards with a guy like PJ Tucker out there playing center. Obviously, PJ Tucker is not an elite rebounder by any means. I mean, I think the guy with the highest rebound percentage on the Rockets is Russell Westbrook. It might be Robert Covington, but I'm not really sure. One of those two guys are probably going to lead the team in rebounding most nights. So Covington at 6,200. I do have some interest in him. Probably try and get up to DeRozan if possible. But Covington is definitely a guy you could look to. We do know Draymond Green's already been ruled out, so Eric Pascale going to continue to get 32, 34 minutes off the bench. It's not the best spot against the Clippers, but Pascal's been a fantasy point per minute player this season. If Steph Curry were to sit, I think Pascale just gets even more usage, should be even more productive. So at 5,700, price coming up a little bit, I still have some interest in him today. Plus, if it's a blowout, I think Pascale will still play even in a blowout, so he feels very safe at that salary. Even if things get ugly, he should still be on the floor. But then getting down to the 5K, 4K range, Rudy Gay's price is coming up. His minutes have been trending up, though, which I guess is a positive. Only played 23 minutes against Brooklyn, but did get 36 minutes last game against Cleveland. I mean, you look at the numbers this season with Aldridge and Murray both off the floor, Rudy Gay has averaged over a fantasy point per minute. I do expect Gay to be very productive when he's on the floor. We just never know like how many minutes he's going to play. Is he going to play 22? Is he going to play 26? Is he going to play 32? You just don't really know here. My best guess, he probably gets like 26 to 28 minutes, which makes me have some interest in him at 5,100. I don't know if I can consider him like a core value today. I think there's other guys I'd rather go to. I feel a little bit safer with Shaq Harrison, who is $100 less. But Rudy Gay is definitely viable at 5,100. Coming off the bench, the minutes should still be there, especially with how depleted the Spurs are right now. No Pirtle, no Aldridge, no Murray. They definitely do have some injuries there that is opening up playing time for Rudy Gay. But then in terms of guys under 5K for value, if LeBron were to sit, I think that makes it more likely you see Kyle Kuzma get like upper 20s, high 20s in minutes. Only played 22 minutes against the Clippers last game. Still productive with 26 DK points, but that was with LeBron and AD both healthy. That game against the Warriors, when LeBron got ruled out, Kuzma did play 29 minutes off the bench and had 26 Draftkings points. I'd probably project him for similar numbers today, if not better, if LeBron were to sit. So Kuzma would be a value play I like a lot if LeBron's out. But yeah, I think that's probably it for small forward cheap options. I think we covered everything here. If I miss anything, I'll be sure to break that down in my article. My article will be posted on Patreon in the afternoon. I'll have all my favorite plays written up there, all my favorite plays at each position. You can get access to that article. Link down below in the description. Let's talk about power forward now. So power forward at the top here, Anthony Davis, 9,800 against Brooklyn. I think AD looks really good at 9,800 against Brooklyn. I like the matchup. Brooklyn definitely is a team you can attack with opposing bigs. They are starting DeAndre Jordan at center now, which maybe makes them a little bit better defensively versus bigs, but still, AD is going to get some time matched up with Jared Allen, and Jared Allen, not really an elite defender. He's a good shot blocker, but not a guy that defends too well, especially someone like Anthony Davis, who is pretty much matchup proof. Even if LeBron plays, I still like Anthony Davis at 9,800. If LeBron winds up out, Anthony Davis becomes my favorite pay-up option on the slate, and it's not even close. I would prefer him over a guy like Westbrook. Pretty much all those like 9K and above guys, from pretty much from like Whiteside up, from Sabonis up. Like if LeBron's out, I want to get Anthony Davis into all of my lineups, or I wouldn't say all my lineups, but a large majority of my lineups. I know he disappointed against the Warriors last time LeBron was out. Only 39 DK points in 25 minutes, but a lot of that had to do with blowout. I just don't really buy into that. When LeBron's off the floor, we'll take a look at the numbers real quick, just so you guys can see. When LeBron's off the floor, AD, the offense is just going to run through him. He's going to get all the usage. I think he averages like 1.6 fantasy points per minute with LeBron off. Yeah, 1.66 fantasy points per minute, near 34% usage rate, 16% assist percentage, 15.7% total rebound percentage. I'm not telling you anything you already know. If LeBron sits today, just pay up for Anthony Davis. He'd be a top play on the slate for me. But other power forwards, not much else here. Like if I'm paying up, I'm just going to go to AD. I think we'll talk about Julius Randle in a second, but I think Aaron Gordon against Memphis, pace-up spot, I think he looks somewhat appealing at 7,900. Kevin Love, I do like this matchup a lot for him against the Bulls. We do know that Tristan Thompson is already out, so that makes Kevin Love a pretty appealing option. Without Thompson, that just frees up minutes in the backcourt, or in the front court, We saw Love play 40 minutes in that overtime game against the Spurs. If this game is close against the Bulls, which it should be, Kevin Love's probably going to play 34 to 36 minutes. He should be very productive in this matchup. I do have interest in him at 8,100, but I think given the savings, I'd probably rather drop down to a guy like Julius Randle. I really like Julius Randle in this spot against the Wizards. He's $500 less than Kevin Love on DraftKings. Now over on Yahoo, Kevin Love is actually cheaper than Randle. I think you can go with either guy. I think both guys look like great power forward options. I'm going to probably side with Randle, though, still. I just think there's so much upside for Randle in the spot against the Wizards. This is a matchup he should absolutely dominate in. We know the Wizards are a terrible defensive team. We know they play at a fast pace. They're 5th in pace this season. They're dead last in defensive rating. They've also been one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. Actually, the worst rebounding team. They're dead last in rebound percentage on the season. I know we've had Randle put up some monster games against the Wizards earlier this season when they have played, and really to no surprise, they did play on the 12th. He had 40 DraftKings points in 38 minutes in that game. He's played them 3 times this season through 3 games against Washington. He has averaged 50 DraftKings points against them. Like, don't be surprised to see Randle go out there and play 34, 36 minutes and put up a 50 burger against this Washington team. Like, they're just not good defensively. They're not going to be able to slow down Randle. Randle should get as much as he wants in this spot. It's a big-time pace-up spot as well. Like, he just looks so appealing at 7,600. This is a guy we were paying nearly $9K for, like, a couple weeks ago. We're definitely getting a big discount on him for the upside that he has, especially in a matchup like this. So, Julius Randle, Kevin Love, those look like 2 of the best power forward options in my opinion. I think Anthony Davis, if LeBron's out, becomes a great pay-up option as well. But then other power forwards, if we're looking cheaper, with Tristan Thompson still out, like Larry Nance is going to get pretty big minutes off the bench. Played 43 minutes in that game against the Spurs off the bench and had 34 DK points. We're going to see them run a lot of lineups where they have Nance, Nance, Love, and Drummond on the floor at all times. We've seen they will play Larry Nance at the 3. They'll give him some run at small forward over a guy like Cedi Osman. So that just adds to Larry Nance's upside. If he's going to get mid-30s in minutes, low 30s in minutes, I mean, at 6,400, with how productive of a player he is, I think against the Bulls, I do have some interest in Larry Nance. Robert Covington as well. Eric Pascale, some guys we've already talked about. Getting down to the 5K range, I think a guy like Davis Bertans against the Knicks looks somewhat appealing. We know the kind of upside Bertans has when he's making his shots. He can be somewhat of a risky player, can be up and down, but the guy has 35, 40-point upside if he's knocking down his threes. And against the Knicks team, one of the worst defensive teams in the league, there's definitely upside for Bertans. Also, plenty of upside for Trey Lyles. Going to continue to get massive minutes. Played 41 minutes last game against Cleveland. Most nights we're going to get probably 34 to 36 minutes from Lyles. Even though they started Drew Eubanks in that game against Cleveland, like Lyles is just going to get a large majority of the run at center. Should be very productive when he's on the floor. Can give you a double-double. Can get a couple defensive stats as well. Like, he's got 35, 40-point upside. At 5,300, he's another guy I like in that mid-range at power forward. Rudy Gay, we talked about earlier. You could play him at power forward. In terms of guys under 5K, though, if we're going cheap at this position, we talked about Kyle Kuzma. I think he's in play. Bobby Portis, his minutes have been trending up, but then they started to trend down. Had 2 games where he played 30 and 27 minutes. That game against the Jazz, Mitchell Robinson was out, but then Mitchell Robinson did play against OKC. Portis got 27 minutes that game, but then against Detroit, he only played 19 minutes. The matchup's fantastic against Washington, but we just don't know what the minutes are going to look like for Bobby Portis. And now that Mitchell Robinson's back in the lineup, I just can't really go there. I think there's just a better value to target today. So, yeah, I think we covered everything for power forward. Let's go ahead and hit on the center position real quick. We'll cover center before we end the video. So at center, talked about AD. If LeBron's out, AD becomes a great pay-up option. Porzingis against the Spurs, I doubt I really get there today. Vooch against Memphis, I think is fine. I don't really love any of these guys, 9K and above, though. My favorite guy above 9K is definitely Davis. Like, if I have to choose one of those guys to pay up for, it's probably AD. Whiteside, I mean, I like the spot for him against the Suns. We know there's plenty of upside for Whiteside. He just dropped 58 DK points on the Suns a couple days ago. I guess if I had to play one of these 9K and above guys, not named Anthony Davis, it would be Whiteside. Like, between Whiteside, Vooch, and Porzingis, I'd probably go Whiteside there. But I don't feel like any of those 3 are going to be core plays for me. I really like Andre Drummond. I think he's my favorite pay-up center. Assuming LeBron plays and I don't get to Davis a ton, then Drummond's definitely my favorite pay-up center. I love the spot for Andre Drummond against the Bulls. Without Tristan Thompson, the minutes are secure for Drummond. He played 33 minutes last game against the Spurs. I'm not sure if he played in the overtime period or not, but regardless, was still productive, played 33 minutes, had 57 DraftKings points. Without Tristan Thompson, the minutes are going to be secure for Andre Drummond. He's going to be locked into probably 32 to 34 minutes a night. We know this is one of the best possible matchups you can get against the Bulls. The Bulls have been one of the worst defensive teams versus centers this season. They have also been one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. They do rank 29th in rebound percentage, second to last. It's just such an appealing spot for Drummond, and now the minutes are secure, the price still hasn't caught up to the production as well. Like when Drummond's playing 34, 36 minutes a night, this guy should be priced near $10K, especially in a matchup like this against the Bulls. We're getting him at a major discount today. I think at $8,700. He's one of my favorite plays on DraftKings, and if we look at Yahoo's pricing, they have Drummond priced at $38. He's $3 cheaper than Porzingis. He's $7 cheaper than Whiteside, $2 cheaper than Vooch. Like, I love Drummond over on Yahoo. I think he stands out as a very strong option there as well. If Tristan Thompson were to play today, that would make me less interested in Drummond, but because he's already been ruled out, the minutes should be there for Drummond. That's just one less body they have in the front court. A large majority of their front court minutes are going to go to Drummond, Nance, and Kevin Love. They still have Ante Zizic they can give minutes to, but I'm pretty sure Zizic barely played last game. Let me check that real quick. Zizic played. Yeah, Zizic played. He didn't even play last game. He was a DNP, so yeah, they're just giving all the center minutes to Drummond, Love, and Larry Nance. And Drummond, I expect, plays probably 32, 34 here. Easy 50, 55-point upside, 60-point upside for Drummond in this spot. So love him at center. There's other guys you could look to, like if DeAndre Ayton plays, I like the spot for him against Portland. At 8,300, he'd be somewhat appealing. Larry Nance, we talked about earlier, you could look to. Naz Reid should definitely be able to dominate against this Houston front court, this undersized Houston front court. I do have some concerns though with the foul trouble issue here. Like, this is a spot where Naz Reid could pick up like 3 fouls in the first 3 minutes. With James Harden and Russell Westbrook both driving a lot to the basket, that makes me somewhat concerned with Naz Reid. But if you get like 30 minutes out of Naz Reid, this is a guy that has 40-point upside, especially against Houston. Like, I could see him putting up a monster game. Only tournaments, though, he's going to be really low owned, so you don't need to play a ton of him to be overweight on the field. But like, if you have to pick one of like Montrezl Harrell, Marquise Chris, Aron Baynes, it'd be close between Baynes and Reid. Baynes should continue to get big minutes with if DeAndre Ayton remains out. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But last 2 games with Ayton out, Baynes has played 36 and 33 minutes, 69 and 37 DraftKings points. I think if Baynes is playing 32 to 34 minutes a night, I mean, this is a guy that's going to give you 35 to 40 DraftKings points most nights. I don't expect him to drop 69 again, but he did put up that big out against this Portland team, against the same Portland team. Factoring in ownership, I assume Baynes comes in a lot higher owned than Naz Reid, so that's probably a pivot I would like to make in tournaments. But if Ayton's out again, Naz Reid, Aron Baynes, I think those are 2 guys I like in the mid-range at center. But then if we're just looking for cheap options here, Mitchell Robinson you have against the Wizards, great spot for him. Probably going to play 26 to 28 minutes off the bench. Probably won't get much more than that, but there's definitely 40-point upside for Mitchell Robinson in this spot, so I do have some interest in him at 5,500. Now that DeAndre Jordan is starting for the Lakers, he started last game against the Bulls, had a monster game, 42 DraftKings points in 29 minutes. This is definitely a much tougher spot against the Lakers, but if we're going to get 28 to 30 minutes from DeAndre Jordan, this is still a guy that has 35, 40-point upside when he gets the minutes. He's a great rebounder, pretty much a lock for a double-double, can block shots as well. They're going to need his size out there to defend guys like JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis. So I do have some interest in DeAndre Jordan as well at 5,500. But for value at center, I don't think there's really any cheap plays I love here. Markkanen, his minutes have been trending up. Played 26 last game, 28 DK points. I assume he probably plays like 28 to 30 today. So at 4,700, I mean, he's not the worst value play. Same with a guy like Wendell Carter. Wendell Carter played 28 minutes last game. Hasn't been nearly as productive, though. His production has definitely been way down compared to Markkanen. So if I have to choose one of Markkanen or Wendell Carter, I'd probably side with Markkanen there. If I'm going cheap at center, I think those are the guys that stand out the most. But really doesn't feel like a position I need to pay down at. I think this position, you probably want to try and get to someone like Drummond or some of these mid-range guys we talked about, like DeAndre Jordan, Aron Baynes, Naz Reid, Larry Nance. These are kind of centers I like for today. Drummond, though, he really stands out as one of my favorite center plays overall, and definitely one of my favorite favorite overall plays on the slate. But yeah, guys, I think we covered everything for Tuesday's 9-game slate. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really do appreciate you watching. I know this video has been really long, but I want to try and put as much information, as much time into this video as I could, give you guys all my thoughts on this slate. I will have more updated thoughts posted on Patreon later today in the afternoon on Tuesday. So if you want to get access to my updated core plays, you want to get access to my article, get in our Discord chat, you can access all that through the Patreon, which is linked down below in the description. You can also give me a follow on Twitter, which is linked down below in the description at DFS by Noah. I would greatly appreciate it. Appreciate it if you would follow me there. But yeah, guys, best of luck tonight. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and we'll be back tomorrow on Wednesday with, pretty sure, another big slate Wednesday. We'll be ready to break that down. Till then, guys, peace.